Hey everybody. I have been really busy lately in my life, but I just, I wasn't going to come on here and I honestly wasn't going to say anything, but I do feel that there is, something that needs to be said. I'm not going to keep going back and forth because when people lie that they just try to come up with more lies to cover those lies and then more lies and more lies. So I'm not going to, all I'm going to say today is what I have to say, and after that, if somebody else wants to do an exposure video about him, I'm on board. But I know that in my life, I'm not going to keep sitting here and keep reposting, videos about him and, trying to unveil everything that is being said about me or my life. Look, I've taken accountability for a lot of the things that I've done wrong. Like, I've even admitted some of the times that we had spent money on hotels and food and stuff. Like, I was somewhat, involved in that. And that's why it's hard for me to understand why people would think that I'm lying when I'm sitting here blasting myself as well and telling my part. I just want to say that, here's the thing. If I said something, people are going to try to tell me that I shouldn't say anything and I just need to let it go and I need to move on with my life. And the truth is, I have been moving on with my life, like I'm still processing a lot of what happened to me, and the truth is, saying these videos is healing to me because I'm telling my side of the story and what is true. And, like I said, it's not my job to convince people to believe me, and I know that no matter what, this fire is so big at this point that it's going to be hard to put out, and there's going to be a lot of people who are still denying what I'm saying because they truly don't know me, just like they don't know Dominic, and they only hear, what he says and how good he is with his words, and I'm, not as gifted in that area, but what I can tell you is what I am saying to you guys is true. And, people might think that, oh, I'm bitter and that's why I'm doing this, or I'm trying to sabotage him. Well, that's not true at all. Honestly, if it was just the way that he had treated me, things like that, like, I would have just let it go. I really would have. But knowing that he's lying about his whole story, is really sad. And I just want to point out, because I keep seeing this over and over, that people are like, well, if she's just as guilty as him because she went along with it and she's the one who reached out to the first place for a video and she helped him with his book and she. You know what? You're right. Not about me being just as guilty. I'm saying you're right. I did help him reach out to this, touching the afterlife. I did help him reach out to these places, and I did help him write his book. But the truth is, guys, is there's multiple people that helped him with these things and helped him in his ministry, and these same people, a lot of them have left now. And the truth is, we didn't know. I didn't know. Look, I didn't know. I didn't know this man was a compulsive liar. I didn't know that he was lying about these things. I truly believed him. I truly believed that he was telling the truth. Just like everybody else. If you were this fooled by him, why wouldn't I be? Do you think that I'm just not capable of being, fooled by somebody as well? I was fooled by this man just like everybody else had been. So I'm really tired of, people saying that to me, because the truth is, if I did speak out, people are going to say things about me speaking out. If I decided not to, then it would be even more people saying, well, she was going along with it. Why didn't you say anything? You knew all of this. Why did you choose to just remain silent? Why didn't you say anything? That's why I'm coming out and saying things now. So nobody can come back to me and say, once they find out the truth, try to say, well, she went along with it because she never said anything. She never spoke her part. No, I'm speaking my part, and I'm making it very known right now that I was just as fooled as everybody else. I was just susceptible to the trap that he had set, and I fell for it. And I repented from everything that I've done that's wrong in this situation. And I definitely know that I'm not taking that money and going and spending it on weed and cigarettes. And truth be told, people are telling me, well, post the receipts. I have one statement of his. that shows he was going to Hark's liquor store, or not liquor store, I keep saying it, Hark's tobacco store in uptown Minneapolis. There's a few times on there. The truth is, when he would buy his green, he didn't go to a dispensary here in Minnesota. Now, I know in Chicago he went to a dispensary, and there is receipts for that. There also is pictures with him with this bag that is from the dispensary, okay? And he looks high in every one of them, and he looked high in all of his videos. So the thing is, even if I, first of all, we never had a joint banking account. We never shared a bank account when we were together. We were going to eventually, we just never got to it. So how am I going to have all of these receipts if we didn't have a joint banking account, for one? And for two, when he was buying this weed, he was not going to a dispensary, so there wasn't going to be like a receipt for that. Most of the time he paid on Cash App. Most of the time, he would send it to a specific person, and every once in a while he would pay in cash. But here's the thing, like, how are you going to go and prove that this means he was buying if it's not an actual dispensary or something? So, like I said, I do have the receipt from the dispensary, and I have, pictures, multiple pictures, and a video with him with the bag from the dispensary in Chicago. However, it's pretty hard to prove it when I don't have access to the bank account. Like I said, I do have one bank statement that shows that, and it shows a lot of the things he was getting. And I'm just letting you know, you can choose to believe me in this situation if you want to, or you could choose not to. But I know on the Lord that I'm not lying. And here's the thing, I'm not the only person speaking out here. There is many other people that are speaking out, including some of his family members. Some of them, the same ones who I'm choosing for their sake not to mention them by names, but you know who you are. You know what you've told me. And a lot of the information that I have is from family members who are choosing not to say anything to him, who are pretending that they're so sorry this is happening, who are pretending to be on his side when really they're the same family members. And I have proof of that. I have the phone calls that I had talked to them, and they told me a lot of this information. Some of this is proof, some of this is things that I have seen, and a lot of it is things that I've seen and that I know, but also a lot of things, like Cuba, for example, are things that I've heard from his family members. And also, like I said, if you look it up, Dominic's always the one to say do your own research. If you look it up, you could literally see that we were not allowed to go to Cuba from like 1962 until like 1999, somewhere along those lines. Like, look, we're doing our research, and you can see that that is the case. And his family members also told me that that never happened. So the same ones who are going to sit here and pretend to his face and to everybody else that they're sad and whatever, like, you know what you did, and God knows what you did. And I'm not saying it was wrong to speak your truth, but I am saying it's wrong to know the truth and not to say anything about it, and to sit here and pretend like you're on his, I don't even want to say side, but you are, you should be there for him. He is your family member, but you should also not go along and enable him, but instead, like, tell him, like, this isn't right. You shouldn't be doing this. You need to tell the people the truth. And nobody's going to look at you guys like you were bogus, because you had no part in it. But the only part is, by not saying anything, it looks like you're complicit, with what he's doing. And that's why, for me, like, I had to speak out and I had to say something, because I'm not going to make it seem like I somehow played a part in this that I simply did not play. Me not knowing doesn't mean that I was going along with it. I had no idea. I truly didn't. I didn't know that he was lying. I didn't know this wasn't true. I had asked him about his bullet marks before, and it's just kind of crazy because, like I said, he has like a little scar on his stomach, but first of all, the bullet marks would have to be right next to each other, and there's nothing that resembles that whatsoever at all. So just letting that be known, that I didn't know. I'm not gonna, that's why I'm speaking out. Look, people are gonna be mad at me whether I say something or whether I don't say something. So I'm choosing to do what God has asked me to do and what I feel is the right decision to make, regardless of what people are gonna say. Because no matter what, people are gonna say something. If I don't or if I do. So I don't care if I am literally standing alone with God. I have people in my corner, but I'm saying I don't care if I am literally standing alone with God on this mountain and I have nobody else who believes me. I don't care. I am going to speak the truth. I am not gonna lie to people. I'm not gonna lie to God's people. I am not gonna lie on God, and I am not gonna comply with somebody lying on God and pretending like they're not. I don't care what's said about me. That's the funny part, is all these people want to throw rocks, but as soon as something happens, they want to hide their hands like they played no part because he's exposing people. And the thing is, his exposure is not even true. He can say whatever he wants. I know he's trying to paint the picture because this is all that he has, that I'm this bitter ex and I'm so mad. And I also want to point out, guys, that if he left me and I'm just so bitter about it because he left me, like, why am I moving along with my life so happily that he's not a part of it? Like, I'm literally like, feel relieved that I don't have to be with him anymore. And yes, when he says that I didn't want to be part of Bible studies. Can you really blame me, people? Like, honestly, if you were with somebody and they were just degrading you, berailing you, calling you names, cussing you out, and, making you cry and making you very hurt, and then they want to go online and then people are going to treat them literally, what I've realized is more people are treating him like he was some kind of God than God himself. They were worshiping Dominic. They weren't worshiping God. They were worshiping him. And so that was, part of it that was really hard for me. Like, why would I want to go on a Bible study or go on something knowing that this man is not living the lifestyle that he claims at all? He's treating me horribly. He, is spending money on marijuana. He's high all the time. He's spending money on cigarettes. That is ministry money. He is lying to people constantly, lying about everything. I almost just said it. His own family told me that they can't believe a word that comes out his mouth because he's a liar and he's got something seriously wrong with him mentally. Okay? His own family had told me that. And so I'm just saying, how would anybody want to sit there and be a part of that? So you can tell. Look, you can literally tell in the videos. If you go on his YouTube and you see videos, you will, of old Bible studies that I was a part of. You can tell, for one, he was high in them. You can tell by looking at him. And for two, I didn't look happy. I looked uncomfortable and I looked depressed, because the truth is, I was uncomfortable. I was depressed. Like, wouldn't you be if somebody just got done doing all of this to you and then wanted you to be a part of something, and you are looking at them while people are basically worshiping them, and you're looking at them like nothing this person is saying is true. They're not living it. They're a horrible, horrible person, and they're saying all this, and I just have to sit here and pretend. That was the only part where I feel like I did go along with it. So I am guilty in that situation. But now I'm telling the truth. I just didn't know. I couldn't bring anything up to him because I would get chewed out and threatened, threatened to be beat up. He would say a lot of threats against me, that he was going to destroy my life, that he's going to destroy my reputation, that he was going to ruin everything, that there's a lot of things that he would threaten me with. And so I never said anything. So in that part, once I found out that he wasn't living the lifestyle that he claimed, I was guilty, for sitting there and not saying anything about it. That part, I can admit that I should have said something sooner. I should have went on there and said it. But the truth was, I would have been putting myself in danger if I would have done that, because this man has a history of domestic violence. I also just want to point out, if I'm the bitter ex, tell me why he literally tried to convince a family member who came and told me that he literally tried to convince them that, this is after a couple of days after I left him, he literally tried to convince them that he only had 8 months to a year left to live. He tried to tell this family member that, and he has done this multiple times to them. But that just goes to show how manipulative this man is, and how, he really did want me back. Because why would he say that? He was trying to manipulate me into guilt tripping me to coming back, because he knew I was gone and I was not looking back. Look, I left this man. I didn't even say a word to him about why I was leaving. I literally just cut him off one day. I was studying my Bible. This is exactly what happened. I was studying my word, And he wanted to call me and he wanted to talk crap about a bunch of people, and I wasn't feeding into it at all. And I was just like, okay, yeah, like, okay, like, let's keep moving along kind of thing. Like, I told him already I was trying to read the word, and this man got so irritated and so frustrated with me and started to say, well, I don't want to talk to somebody who's just too busy for me. I don't want to talk to somebody who doesn't have time for me. It's clear to me that you're not listening. That's not true. I am listening to what you're saying, but I'm also trying to read, and the thing was, it was like I couldn't even read my Bible, or I couldn't do things without answering the phone. My own roommates can tell you that they've seen it happen before, where I didn't answer my phone because I simply didn't see it, or it wasn't on volume, because when I would work it wouldn't be, and he would literally be like, why didn't you answer the phone? What were you so busy doing? And like that, I should have seen as a red flag, but I guess at the time I just, thought, well, he needed my help with certain things and he just really wanted to talk to me, or what, however I justified it. But I'm just saying, if this man left me and I'm so bitter, tell me why he would try to do that. Like, here's the thing, guys, I'm a horrible liar. Like, I used to lie a lot in my past. I spent a lot of years in addiction. I think I spent like 15 years of my life, using drugs, and I'm not proud to say that, but I'm just speaking the truth. And I used to lie a lot. And I'll be honest, like, I've always been a really horrible liar. Like, you'll be able to know if I'm lying about something. I wouldn't be able to come up with all of these details and all of this stuff. And for two, like, the person I am now, I would not do that. I would not do that. And here's the thing about it. If I was lying, you guys, like, why would I lie in front of millions of people when all Dominic has to do is post one thing or two things and prove it to the world that I'm lying? If I was lying, isn't he capable of literally just everything that I say and proving that I'm lying? That's the thing. Like, he could literally prove that I'm lying. So if I was lying, why wouldn't he just prove it and this whole thing could be done? Like, it just doesn't make sense when you guys really, really think about it. Like, really think about it. I'm lying. Why would I be lying? If I'm lying to millions of people. And if I was lying, wouldn't he literally just be able to take this paper of the police report with his name and date on it, the police report, and news articles, and the hospital records? I'm going to get to this in a minute, but the hospital records of the actual incident, saying that he was dead for 3 minutes and 47 seconds, with his name and date on it, and where it happened, and what hospital, and his surgery, and his x-rays of all these bullet shot wounds, with his name and date, because he could just take anybody's from on there, and he could just show his stomach. The thing is, I know that he's capable of probably photoshopping a picture to make it look like that. So the only way I would really trust that he's showing his bullet wounds would be on an actual video where he pulls his shirt up. But it's like, that's the thing. Like, Dominic, if you're telling the truth, which I know you're not, that's all you simply have to do. Like, to prove me wrong. And that's the thing, guys. Like, don't you think if somebody was making all of these accusations against you and they were a lie, that you would just simply do these things to prove it? And I want to point out, this is the main point of this video, and I'm going to say a few other things too along that I'm on here. But the doctor's note that this man posted, okay? I think the doctor's name was Jess Olson or something along those lines. It was in St. Paul, Minnesota. The appointment was. It was some neurology clinic. I want to point out that I was there with this man at that appointment. I was there with him, okay? I was there with him. And so I will say that this really is a doctor's note, that this note exists. However, I don't know if he really put that in it, but I know he really did go to see this doctor. I don't remember the date. This was probably, I want to say, around like 3 months ago, maybe. But like I said, I don't know the exact date. I'm sure I could probably find it out, but I don't know the exact date. But what I do know is that I had called some people even after it, talking about the appointment. And, I remember it very, very clearly. And when we were there, here's the reason I think the doctor had put that, is because, for one, if you are in the medical field or you were a doctor, he was having nerve pain or whatever through his leg, right? Well, let me tell you that he had already had a diagnosis. It's called like tumber something. It had to do with his back, and like one of his discs fell or something, and it was a disc bulge or something. So lumbar, I can't remember what it was. I'll have to look it up. But he had a diagnosis of that. However, they say normally it heals on its own. Well, he was still having a lot of pain from it. So we decided to go see a neurologist, because I had been thinking that, it was nerve pain that was going on from the gunshot wounds. And so we went to this doctor, and this doctor had never met Dominic in his life, and I know that because he introduced himself to both of us, and I was there in the room with him. And the doctor wanted him to have an MRI. Here's the thing. That's why this doctor probably put that in the notes. Because if you have an MRI and you have any metal fragments in your body, you could not have an MRI, because it would rip them right out. So the doctor could not do an MRI. That is why he put that, because he had to explain for something like this why he couldn't do what was typical, what they would normally do. He had to do a CAT scan instead. That's why Dominic had a CAT scan and not an MRI in this situation. And that is why the doctor put it, because all that happened in this appointment was that Dominic simply told the doctor, look, I was shot. That's what he had told him. When he was shot, he had told him that I was shot, and that's why he has nerve damage already. He had told the doctor that. I was there. I know. The doctor did not go back all these years to go and confirm what he said, because truth be told, what kind of person is going to lie about being shot? All that this proves is that Dominic is capable of lying to anybody who is willing to listen, including the doctor. That's all that happened. He told his doctor this, and he said, okay, so you cannot have an MRI, you have to have a CAT scan. That is simply all that happened, and that is not the proof that I am asking for at all whatsoever, Dominic. I have made it very, very clear, and this is the last time that I'm going to say this. If you want to clear your name, all you need to do is take the actual doctor's note, not the ones that doctors might say that you were shot, because all you have to do is tell them. No, I want the actual doctor's notes from the shooting that says your name, the date, what hospital it was at. If that really happened to you, you would probably be in the hospital for multiple days if you said that you had to have surgery and you were in a wheelchair and you needed to recover. You would definitely have doctor's notes from that time. So that's what all you need to do. I don't care about anybody who is going to say that they were there with you. I simply do not care about what any other doctors say. I simply want the proof. Not what anybody says. I'm asking for the specific proof. If you want to clear your name and make me out to be a liar, which I am not, then all you have to do is post the actual doctor's letter where it specifically says how long you were dead for, that they tried to revive you and couldn't do it, or whatever, where you were shot, where you had surgery, prove the x-rays of the gunshot wounds, and not just any type of x-rays, literally be able to prove that your name is on there, the date's on there, everything that is verifiable, because like I said before, I would not be surprised one bit if this man makes fake doctor letters, but truth be told, you could really be sued for something like that, because if these doctors found out that you are claiming something that is not true, you will be in a lot of trouble legally. So that's all I'm saying is I'm not asking for whatever doctors say. I'm not asking for whatever anybody else is going to say, or anything. I want the police report from the state. Look, if this really happened too, don't you guys think on June 9th, 2009, you'd be able to look up 850 North Pole, where he claims that he's from? You could literally see, where he says that it happened. You could look it up in Chicago, shootings on that date, and you're not going to find the shooting of where it said that it happened, because it doesn't exist. Like, that's what I'm telling you guys. Like, if I was really lying, all he has to do is to say this, and poof, all this would just disappear. There wouldn't be all this, him trying to go back and forth, saying nasty things. He doesn't even need to say nasty things about me. All he simply needs to show is the truth, the real proof. Not what doctors say, not what friends are going to come on there and say, not what family is going to say, not what all these people are going to say. No. I'm making it very specific what I'm asking for, and that is the proof of the actual incident, not what supposedly has happened before or after. No, I'm asking for the actual proof and the police reports and all of those things, and they don't exist, guys. I'm telling you. Like, at this point, the fact that he still hasn't been able to show it goes to show me that he's lying. I also may want to make another point, guys. There's a lot of things that I want to say, but in 2009, like I said, you could look up his record. He definitely has a history. I have a few things on mine too, but I tell you that I've never beat somebody, especially my ex-wife or girlfriend and stuff, and he has a history of that. But that's not the point that I'm making. The point that I'm making here is he has charges, right? Okay, he has charges in 2009. This supposedly happened June 9th, 2009. First of all, in Chicago. Now, I'm not saying that it's not possible for him, because I think this happened 4 months later after his dying incident. He was charged with domestic violence. Let me make a few points to you. One being, it just seems kind of weird to me, if you were just shot in Chicago and all that you wouldn't be focusing more on recovering than moving to a whole nother state with your wife and all of your children, and like, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. If you're healing, wouldn't you want to be around your family who can help take care of you and nurture to you? Like I already said, he wasn't even in Chicago at this time, even though he claims that he wasn't. So I'm not saying that it's not possible within 4 months to be moving, but if you were never able to walk in and you were in a wheelchair, I just don't think that your family, that's the first thing that they would be thinking about. It just doesn't make sense at all. And second of all, people in domestic violence typically, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of times they are not going to call the police the first time this happens. A lot of times, beatings have taken place, and it takes them months, years sometimes to even call. A lot of times it actually ends up being neighbors and people around you who hear it, who actually call the police. So I have to say, for the police to be able to get called, I know that it wasn't just some little incident of domestic violence. There was 2 charges, and, I haven't looked up more details, but I just want to point out that, it had to have been really bad for the police to be getting called, because this was the same person that it happened to over and over and over again. And at this point, I know that he had tried to do it months before that. He literally tried to kill her. His own family has told me that. I'm sure the person who told me this would not care, but I'm still not going to say anything unless, they tell me. I never asked for permission, and so if they don't tell me, I'm not going to say it. But I also, this is the main point in this that I want to make, is if you were just charged with domestic violence 4 months after you were killed, he does talk about how he got worse afterward, but here's the thing, is if you, like he said to many people, he was told he would never walk again. He said that before. He said he's in a wheelchair, and so don't you think that if somebody was told that they would never walk again and they had to learn to walk again, how would they be able to beat somebody so severely that the police had gotten called? It just doesn't add up. This was supposedly 4 months after he was shot. So I'm just saying, like, that in itself, that doesn't make any sense. You would not be physically well enough for somebody who would never be able to walk and had to relearn how to walk and how to do everything. Within 4 months, you were able to walk so good that you were able to beat somebody up this severely. Like I said, it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. And, like, these are things that you can look up. Like, it's public record, let's see. I also just want to point out, that, dang it, what I was going to say is that, like, When he was in Chicago, he walked miles and miles and miles. So, like, honestly, all of this leg pain that he associates to being shot, it just really doesn't make sense. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that this man does not have medical issues. I was at the doctor when they told him about his back, and that's why his leg has been hurting. But truth be told, I really don't know about his leg. He claims that he had surgery. You can actually go back and look on Bakati Facebook page in 2019, June 2019. He was in the hospital, and he was claiming in this video that the doctors messed his leg up, and that's why he has leg problems. And he had some type of surgery, which would explain his scar. But yeah, he had some type of surgery, and when he had this surgery, they messed up his nerves in his legs, and so now his leg doesn't work. And he literally says this himself on this page, that he's tired of the medical diagnoses. He's tired of, all ththese health issues. He literally says that himself. So it's like, clearly, you can tell that he is. I don't even know. I think that he does have nerve pain or whatever, but I don't think it's as severe as he makes it out to be. I think he does that to just play on the story more and get people's sympathy, to be honest, to feel bad for him. And thank you, Lisa. Like, really, I'm not going to stop telling the truth. You know what I mean? Like, people can say what they want. Like I said, people are going to continue to be mad if I talk, and people are going to continue to be mad if I don't talk. But what I am going to say is, I'm not going to sit here and lie on God, and I'm not going to sit here and not say anything, because that's why this man has gotten away with what he's gotten away with for so long. Because everybody enables him. Because he intimidates you. He tried to do that to me so many times. He would try to intimidate me and talk down to me and threaten me and make me feel like this little, because he was trying to make it so that if anything ever happened, that I would be too scared or that I wouldn't say anything. And I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna just keep letting him do this to people. Like, I am gonna speak my truth, and if people don't want to believe me, that's not up to me. But I know I'm not lying. I'm not a liar. And like I said, if he wants to clear this up, he simply just has to post the actual proof, not what these doctors' letters are saying or whatever, because that's not proof. That is literally not proof. That is just showing that you are capable of lying to your doctor. So like I was saying, though, if he, I'm not saying that he doesn't have health issues. He doesn't have medical issues, but he's milking it for all that it's worth. He was able to confidently walk miles and miles in Chicago, and he wanted to walk. He literally wanted to walk. He could have taken an Uber or a Lyft or a bus or a train. He wanted to walk. So if your leg is really hurting that bad, why are you walking? Not only that, but he went there to supposedly go to this, man's funeral and for his family, and he was talking about how sad he was and how hurt he is. Look, that man never even went there. He never even went to this man's funeral. He never went to go visit the family. But I thought that was the whole purpose of him going to Chicago. So just saying, like, if he was walking that much, if your leg's really hurting that bad, how are you capable of walking that far? It just doesn't add up. So, like I said, I'm not doubting. I'm not saying that this man does not have health issues. I think he has some with his heart. I think he has other ones. But he's milking it for whatever it's worth. A doctor's note simply going off what you said does not prove anything. That is not the proof. Look, that's what I keep saying. Like, if I'm lying, like, all you would have to do is literally just show the actual proof. And you're not doing that. Look, Dominic, if you wanted to shut the whole thing down, I keep saying this over and over, show the actual proof. At this point, you are grasping for straws. You are literally grasping for straws at this point, because you don't have anything else to go off of. Like, you literally don't have anything else to go off of. That's why you're grasping for what this it's funny how you said that your lawyer said it was too dangerous, but it wasn't too dangerous for you to show to tell your testimony. Now you're saying now you showed something, but that's still not the proof. At this point, it just goes to show that you're grasping for straws because you don't have the truth. At this point, like I said, I don't care if I'm standing alone or who's mad at me for saying something, who says that I need to quit. You are not me, and you are not God. So I don't care what people say to try to tell me, oh, don't say anything. No, I'm going to say whatever I feel needs to be said. Like, I'm going to say it. I'm not going to keep going back and forth. You notice that I'm not sitting here saying, like, oh, he said this about me, blah, 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 shooting back. No, I'm not doing that. All I'm doing is pointing towards all of the facts and what I know. I'm not going to sit here and dispute with him back and forth about this, this, and this. No, I'm just proving my point. And I don't care at this point who says that I need to stop talking, because my voice is going to be heard. Look, I've been silenced long enough. I've held my tongue long enough. He can sit here and say, oh, I tried to spare her, that's why I didn't say anything. No, you were literally already saying things long ago before I started exposing you. You were already trying to justify that why I wasn't around no longer. You were already trying to tell people and explain that, because you knew that if you told the truth, people would think that it's very weird that I left you. That's why you're trying to paint another picture. But God knows the truth, and I'm not going to be silenced. I've been silenced long enough. I'm not going to sit here and keep being silenced. Like, I'm going to talk. Like, I don't care. That's why he's gotten away with what he's gotten away with for so long, because, you know, nobody's talking. Nobody wants to to say anything. And I am leaving it to God. I don't know if you watched the whole video, but I have already said I'm not going to keep exposing him. I'm not going to go back and forth. But what I do feel is something needs to be said about the doctor's note that he posted, and just saying that that's not proof whatsoever. And I am healing myself. Actually, you know, I've been so busy that I haven't even had time to come on here and say anything, you know. I'm very much moving on with my life. Am I going to lie and say that this hasn't hurt me and it hasn't affected me? No, but there's a difference between, you know, sitting here and keep thinking about it and processing everything that's happening. And this is healing for me to talk about it, you know, so I'm going to talk about it. It's healing me. It's helping me move along, and it's helping me to process. And if people don't agree with that, that's fine. Then you don't have to listen. I'm not forcing anybody to be a part of anything they don't want. Nobody has to come on here. Nobody has to watch it. Nobody has to even back me up if you don't want to. Look, you don't have to. That's fine. But I'm saying that I'm not going to sit here and keep, like, not saying anything. No, you're not. People are not going to silence me. People are not going to tell me what to do. I don't care. I know what's being said about me, and I don't care. You notice that I'm not sitting here trying to be like, oh, he said this, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not doing that. So, you know, it's fine. But a lot of these people who are also saying that have never been in my position. You have not walked in my shoes, and you don't know. And some of the people that have, they did the same thing as me. And they were also some of the people that were encouraging me. So, like I said, I'm not going to silence my voice. You know, I'm not going to keep posting videos, but like I said, I feel something needs to be said about the doctor's note, because that's not proof, and that is not what I'm asking for at all. That is not what I'm asking for. That is not proof. And anybody that is using their brain, I'm sorry to say it like that, would know that is not proof whatsoever. So, you know, and I just want to say, no matter how badly you wanted to break me down, hurt me, and make me feel like the littlest person on earth, you specifically chose me because you thought I was weak, and you thought that I would deal with it because I married you and God hates divorce, so I wouldn't leave. After you married me, that's when you thought that you could start doing these things. Look, you specifically picked me. You specifically picked me, and let me tell you, you picked the wrong girl to mess with. You really did. You didn't realize who you was messing with. You didn't recognize that the spirit that lives in me is more powerful than the devil that lives in you. You're not gonna knock me down. You're not gonna belittle me. You're not gonna make me feel like I am this little. You thought that you were gonna do that. You thought that I wouldn't speak out. That's what you were counting on. You were counting on me to be weak, because that's why you picked me, because you thought that I would never say anything. You thought that I would sit here and be so scared of what you were gonna say, all the threats that you've made against me, all the accusations, all the names that you called me. You thought I would be too weak to do this. No. No. Don't get it twisted. I'd be lying to say that this hasn't hurt me and this hasn't affected me, but I can promise you that I'm going to have a beautiful life, and that beautiful life does not consist of you being in it at all. And I'm not going to keep sitting here going back and forth, like I said, but I am going to expose that doctor's note means nothing. And I am going to say that you are not going to corrupt me. You are not going to ruin me. You can sit there and start your smear campaign. You can sit there and bash my name all you want, but here's the thing is that I'm not saying anything bad about you. I'm simply saying the truth, and that's the difference between you and me. I'm saying this to let people know that they're being led astray. You're saying this because you want to defend yourself, when simply, Dominic, all you need to do, like I said in this, is simply just admit that you are wrong. Like, repent, completely turn from it. You can just say, God, I'm sorry, this fire is so big and now it's out of hand and I don't know what to do about it. That's all you simply have to say. Like, and God is faithful and just to forgive us if we just admit our sins to him and cleanse us of all unrighteousness. That's all you have to do. And it's really sad that you feel that you just need to lie so much to get all of this attention, to get all this fame and money. And for people saying that, oh, I've never really seen somebody make money off the hell testimony. No, and I've never seen him beg for money. Let me tell you, he's not begging or asking anybody for money. But what he has told me one time is when he says, thank you for your donations. It's not directly asking people for money, but it's basically still asking people for money because it's letting them know there's a way to donate and here's to do it. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but what I am saying is the way that he's spending this money, that's wrong in itself, what he's spending it on. And don't be surprised now if you start to see him post more things about what he's spending his money on. Don't be surprised if you see him going out on the street more and giving people things. Don't be surprised now if he puts in a divorce to me, because I haven't done the process yet, just to try to show people that he left me. Now he's grasping for straws, so he's going to start to try to prove himself. So, no, he's not directly asking for money, but people are saying, oh, he's not making that much money. Let me tell you, I ran the GoFundMe, okay? And anytime people sent him money on other things, I could see it in the email. I know how much money this man was getting. And I also sent all of the books and the t-shirt orders out. I was in charge of all of that. So I know how much money he was getting, okay? And so for those of you who are saying, well, he's never directly asked for money. First of all, don't you think it's a little bit weird that this book is only like 127 pages and it's like $30 considering everything and it was done completely for free except the book order itself? He is making a lot of money off of this, and not only that, it feeds his ego. Think about it. Anybody who's a narcissist, they want people to feed into them. They want people to treat them like they're God and they're this amazing person. He is loving all of the attention that he's getting, and that's a whole nother reason of why he's doing it, all the attention that he's getting from it, and the finances, because a lot of people ask me, well, why do you think he's doing it? That's exactly why I think he's doing it. His ego is getting built off of it. He's getting the fame that he wants, and he's getting a lot of money, and I don't care what people say that he's not making that much money. You don't know. How would you know? Do you have access to his Patreon? Do you have access to his Shopify? Do you have access to the bank account? Did you have access to any of that? No, you didn't. So you simply don't know how much money this man is getting. So of course he's not going to directly sit here and beg for money, because he knows that if he does, people are going to call him out or think that he's this prosperity teacher. But what I can tell you also, as a family member of his, told me always growing up that this man always said, I'm going to be a pastor someday and you just watch, I'm going to have my own church and I'm going to make thousands of dollars. That's what he used to say. And, his family said that he used to say that all the time. That he used to always say that. So do you think it's just a coincidence of that? Also, just want to point out once again, you could easily prove that you have your pastoral degree. Like I said, I don't really have proof that doesn't exist, but I can tell you that the church on the back of one of his books does not exist and everything else that he put on there. So if that's true, you could easily prove that. Why don't you show your criminal justice degree as well? Because you don't have it. It's like, it doesn't really matter if he has his pastoral degree. It's the fact that he's lying about it. So, like I said, you're not going to keep hurting me. You messed with the wrong girl. And honestly, that airfare, I didn't spend any of that money. He spent it, and I blocked her because I'm not going to say all this on here, but she knows what she did. She can sit here and people can try to make it seem like I brought them into this, but the truth is anybody who's been on these videos has brought themselves into this situation. I don't think that's really relevant to bring up right now. There's nothing I can simply do about that. If you didn't also read in the last video that I was in, she also said that I could take that and come visit her there. So why would she say all that and then want to turn her back? The truth is, I have all the screenshots and I have all the proof, but I'm not even going to sit here and talk about that because that's really not relevant about this. And I did, because she did wrong, and she knows she did wrong, and she can try to say whatever she wants, but if you want to bring this up in here, then that's fine. But I'm not going to close my mouth on that situation either. Yes, she did buy me tickets, and, you know, I tried to call them and get the money back, and they told me that the only thing they could do is put the credit in the person's name that it was, even though I tried to, you know, talk to them. So, you know, if she wants to do something about it, she can try to figure that out, you know. I don't know. That's fine. I just exposed myself. I literally just said that she did buy us tickets, and I still have not paid her back. First of all, I was never told that I needed to. I was already told many, many times that it's fine to keep it, to come visit her, to do whatever. But I've already said all the exposure stuff about myself. So, it's really sad, though, people that claim that you're in your corner and care about you, then they're going to back out in the time that you need them. But that's fine. You know, that's completely fine, because the truth is God knows everything. So, let's see. Also, I want to clear up, Dominic was a manager of sober houses. Let's be very clear on that. He still lives in sober houses. There's not 26 men that live there at all, by any means. And he was a manager, but also that was not a paid position. That position was literally just to pay for just to pay for his living, like his rent. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. All it did was pay his rent. It was never a paid position. So it just goes to show that he does not have a job. He still lives there very much so, but he is not the manager at all. And I really don't know why they choose not to UA him. But the truth is, anybody who's lived in sober living or has went to treatment or anything along those lines knows that just because you live there doesn't mean that you're sober by any means. So I really don't know why they choose not to UA him, but they haven't. And I wouldn't believe him, you know, even if he did, unless you literally sat there and watched him go. I wouldn't believe him. So, truth be told, that he's not a manager of sober living. Whatever he says, it's not the truth. Let's see. I've already said most of this stuff. I think that the reason why he's so convincing is, one, he's like very, you know, good with his words, but also I just want to point out that he spiritually plagiarizes a lot of people. That man can literally paraphrase, not even paraphrase, word for word, say what I just said 5 minutes ago and repeat the whole thing back to me word for word. So he's very good at that, and he spiritually plagiarizes off of people. So all the things that he says is things that he's heard from other people, and then he just repeats those same things. And so, you know, it's a lot of the same stuff, and a lot of what he says, not all of it, but a lot of what he says really is biblical. And so that's why it's so easy to be like fooled by him, you know, because what he has to say truly is biblical, and a lot of it, not all of it. And you know, yeah, so it's kind of hard to, you know, see somebody who's false when you're not personally in their life and seeing it. But I can tell you that, you know, there's multiple people that have said things to him and he's taken exactly what they said. Next thing you know, he's using that same thing. And so it's very hard to see. But whatever he's preaching about, I can tell you that it has everything to do with him and not other people. Everything that he says really reveals how he's feeling about himself, you know, and not saying... But yeah, I just, also, this is something I really wanted to say. Just be very careful, guys. This is the last time I'm ever going to repeat this, but saying Wamshi, be very careful, because even though he says it's one thing, how do you really know that's what it means? Do you know the definition? Have you been able to look it up and see what it really means? Because the truth is we don't really know what that means. He can say it means whatever, but you have power in your words, and so what you're saying could be potentially bad and you don't know it. I just want to point out that this same person also that is willing to testify that this happened is also the same person that he's studying the Egyptian Book of the Dead with. And if you've ever looked up that book, it's all about spells and how to basically, turn in the afterlife, spells that can prevent you and basically guide you to where you're going to go in the afterlife. That's all that book is about. And just to let you know, the person that he claimed that had seen the whole thing is also the same person that's been studying this book with him. So I just want you to be very careful about what type of wording that you're using with him. If you truly don't know what it means, I wouldn't say it, just because you don't know what you're speaking upon yourself. He might say that it's something good, but we don't know that. I don't know that. I don't know if it's bad necessarily either, but I'm just saying, be careful. If he's lied about so many other things, why wouldn't he lie about the wording of that as well? I think I pretty much pointed out all. There's still more, but I'm just saying that anybody who wants to say that I shouldn't be posting videos, look, you're not me. You don't live my life. You don't walk in my shoes. You don't know if I'm going to therapy. You don't know if I'm working. You don't know if I'm sitting here. You don't know what I'm doing. So to sit here and say that I need to move on and I need to quit and he's already been exposed, look, you're not me. If you don't agree with it, then just don't be a part of it. It's like as simple as that. I'm not forcing you to be here. I never forced anybody to be there. Anybody who wants to sit here and say that I drugged them into it, no, you drug yourself into it. You are the one that came on there and commented these things. I told people that I was doing it, and I literally said, if you want to be there, cool. If you don't, I understand. I was not mad at any of those people who chose not to be a part of it. That has nothing to do with me. That is fine. You don't have to be. But what you're not going to do is try to sit here and make it seem like I drug you into it, the fact that your group is now being exposed. I'm not a part of any group. I just want to make that very clear. I'm not associated nor a part of any group. So anybody saying that is a lie. I don't know where you're hearing it. But I don't have a group that's being exposed, because the truth is I'm not part of a group whatsoever at all. So I don't know where people are hearing that, but I didn't drag nobody into this. If you don't want to be a part of it, fine. You don't have to be a part of it. And yes, I'm going to block people who are going to sit here and pretend to be my friend 1 second, and then the next second try to say that I drugged them into something that I did not drag them into. And the fact is, God knows that I had called that person, right before it, and she was saying, oh, this same thing happened to me, and I had to do that, and it's the right thing to do, and that's all that you just did. Okay, and then, on the same note, you want to sit here and pretend like I drug you into it. The truth is, that person had tagged multiple people in it. So don't sit here and try to say that I drug anybody into it. I didn't force nobody to do it, and you guys know that. You guys know that. I did not drag anybody into it. If you don't want to be a part of it, look, you don't have to be. Bye. See you later. I'm not making you do nothing. But what you're not going to do is try to sit here and say that I forced people's hands to type certain things, that I forced people to sit there and hold their head while they watch this video. That's what you're not going to do. You're not going to do that. I don't care how rude I seem. What's rude is pretending that you care and love for somebody, and then to sit there and just abandon them. And then to sit here and spy on me. That's monitoring spirits, by the way. Monitoring spirits are going to sit here and spy on me and then go tell everybody what I'm saying. Truth is, you shouldn't have brought this out on this video, because I had no purpose of even saying anything about it. But now that it's being said, I'm going to. And I was never once told that. Anybody never told me, oh, you need to pay this back. No, that's not what I was told at all. Actually, if you recall, I was told, hey, if you want to, you could still come out here. That was the last thing I was told about that. So, and I've talked to that person many times about it, and not one time. But you know what? I'm not going to be petty. Anybody that I owe money to or anything like that, you ain't got to worry about it. I will take care of it. But what we're not going to do is try to blame somebody when you can take accountability yourself. Look, like I said, I don't care who attacks me. I don't care if I'm standing here with God alone. I am going to speak my truth, and I am not going to be silent. So I pray that everybody can take accountability on their part. I know I have, for the things that I've done. I've already admitted a lot of these things and, repented from them. And the truth is, like I said, if you think that I shouldn't keep sending videos, that's fine. That's not on you. You're not me. And you're not going to tell me what to do or what you think. Then you just simply, unless you're really in my life on a daily basis, your opinion to me truly doesn't matter. I mean, that's all I'm going to say. I don't care how rude that I say it. Like I said, I wasn't going to bring any of this up. But if people want to start saying things on my video about it, then okay, then I have the right to at least defend myself and say my truth. So that's all that I'm going to say about that. And I'm just letting people know I'm also going to be posting this on YouTube because that's where most of his fan base is from. A lot of them really aren't on Facebook, and because I changed my last name back, a lot of people don't know how to find me and to find my videos. So I'm tired of people on YouTube saying, oh, all you're doing is saying comments, but you're not saying anything to back it up. No, I already have spoken my truth. People just need to be able to find it. So that's all I'm really going to say, and I'm not going to keep shooting back and forth. But that doctor's note is not proof at all. The only proof that is that you're capable of lying to your doctor, and he's going to take your word and not go back and look 15 years or whatever back to your history of it. I want the actual thing. And until I see that, I'm not going to stop saying what I have to say, and nobody's going to sit here and try to silence me. So if you want to say that I'm out of control or that I need to move on with my life, you're not me. And I very much so am moving on. Things in my life aren't perfect by any means, but they're getting better by the day. And God has been able to bless me with so many things now that I'm not with Dominic. All the things he couldn't bless me with when I was with him, because it would have just ruined it. So, like I said, people would have been mad at me for speaking out. People are going to be mad at me for not speaking out. So at this point, I really don't care. I'm going to say what I have to say.